Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Let's get to the Cowboys stuff. That went a little longer on that than I planned to, but the breaking Greg Popovich news was needed to get in here. So, Cowboys going to be selectively aggressive this year, according to in this free agency period, according to Stephen Jones. So let's actually hear that first, and then we'll get into a little bit of the convo.
We're going to look at everything we can. We're going to be selectively aggressive. We obviously, there's things in this league you have to, you have certain amount of resources they allow you to have, and we'll look at that. But we're going to try to improve our football team. Not try. We're going to improve our football team, and we expect to have success next year.
When Steven said, we're going to try to improve our football team. Wait, we're not going to try. We're going to improve our football team. It reminded me of Yoda. There is no try. There is just do. They need to improve the football team. And when you hear them say selectively aggressive, I think it's just the most Cowboys thing ever. Like, let's hedge all of our bets. Let's make sure that everyone is talking about us still saying, you putting the word aggressive in there, selectively is the qualifier.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if they've got maybe a few guys in mind that they're going to target and then really try to, push their assets in on that in terms of finances. I don't know. It's going to be a real fascinating time here, seeing what they do during the draft and how they handle free agency, and then who do they bring back? I was thinking about this. Of the three guys that I think they really are concentrating on, Odigizua, Jordan Lewis, Enrico.
Yeah.
Like, who's the number one guy that you got to have back?
It's Osa. I think it's Osa between those three.
I think so too, only because of how thin they are at defensive
Correct.
line. But and I like Rico's game too. But how much is he going to get in the open market?
There's a lot of plus
and then Jordan Lewis. Guy, what a stud he was. He's always been that guy for the Cowboys when healthy.
Well, there's two things to look at here. This draft class is historically deep in two positions: defensive tackle and running back. I think I was listening to Mel the other day. Mel Kiper of ESPN said that there's 36 draftable graded running backs in this class. That's ridiculous, which means you don't need one at 12. Even if you want Ashton Genty or Amari Hampton out of North Carolina, you can get one a little bit later. Defensive tackle. If there is a stone-cold lead pipe lock at 12 to get a defensive tackle, grab one. But 12 is somewhere that you can, maybe get a receiver. Maybe Tet McMillan's still there. Luther Burden is still there. Some people like that are still there. It's interesting where they sit in the draft, and it's interesting where they sit when it comes to free agency, because they have a lot of free agents, but none of them are like that over-the-top, CeeDee Lamb type free agent. It's not a T. Higgins type free agent. It's Osa Odigizua. How much do you and I think they have a budget for Odigizua. This is our max dollar. Do we go a little bit above that because of how poor we are on the defensive line? That's what I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
When it comes to selectively aggressive, though, that's where you could see something like that happening. Does he mean selectively aggressive with our own guys? Does he mean selectively aggressive with re-signing Micah and maybe Deron Bland? Does he mean going to get a big name in free agency? I would say probably not on the last one. But it leaves a lot for interpretation when you hear a comment like that from Stephen Jones.
That's going to be fun. We got the combine this week. We got local guys working out, getting ready for the NFL draft. I love this time of year. I'm like you.
Yeah, this is the best. If they were, what are the biggest needs for the Cowboys right now as we look at free agency ahead of the draft?
D-line for sure. Got to have another wide receiver, probably another guy that can really make plays. They've got decent receivers. They need somebody to go alongside 88. And, who's going to back up Dak? Going to be able to afford Cooper Rush. There's a lot of things going through everybody's mind. And then at Dak's age, and then coming off of last year too, is it frugal to think that you're not going to need somebody who needs to be really good back there? Because is he going to be able to finish a season?
Looking at something else that he said during that impromptu press conference that Stephen Jones said is that he was going to draft a quarterback probably. Like, that's something that they're looking at in the draft is when you're paying Dak Prescott $60 million a year, you can't pay Cooper Rush $7 million, and you can't pay his name is skipping my head out of my head. The third string quarterback.
Trey Lance?
Yeah, Trey Lance. Thank you. Sorry.
I was thinking about what I was going to say to counterpunch you.
No, I have a brain fart right now because I'm still getting over a cold. My brain's not working. But anyway, so Yeah, you can't pay him $5 million either. Like, you have to skimp on the backup quarterback when Dak is your quarterback because you're paying him $60 million a year. So I thought that was interesting as well, that they're going to look at drafting a quarterback this year to back up Dak.
I would hope, and if you're Cooper Rush too, maybe you get an offer from somebody else, but I think the corporate knowledge of being in Dallas, that would behoove him to, he's had his most success when he's been a Dallas Cowboy.
The most recent mock drafts have the Cowboys taking Ashton Jeanty or Omarion Hampton, who is the running back out of North Carolina. Some people have that, 1A, 1B when it comes to running backs in this draft class. Ashton Jeanty, according to Mel Kiper, his latest mock draft is going to the Raiders at 6, and then Omarion Hampton at 12. I believe that's right. Off the top of my head, but I don't know if drafting a running back is the best idea in round 1.
I'm with you. I mean, nothing against the position. It's obviously very important on a football team, but with as many as there are in the draft, to me, it always comes down to you have to get the best available player. And if there's that many D linemen in this draft too, like I couldn't believe, I think I saw somewhere where a guy, last year they only had 15 guys in the entire draft rated as a first-round grade. Mm-hmm. This year they have 24 D linemen alone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's stupid.
I mean, the depth of the D line in this draft is completely ridiculous. And the same with the running back, which is why I wouldn't take a running back this year in the first round. There's some drafts where, like, Bijan Robinson got taken at number 8. That wasn't a very good running back draft. But you've seen Isaiah Pacheco's get drafted in the 4th round, and you've seen guys later on. Yes, the Cowboys need that bell cow. They proved last year that they needed that number 1 back, and especially if they're not going to sign Rico Dowdle, you want to go cheap on running back, you're going to need to draft somebody who you think can be the bell cow. So I get the thought process behind Hampton or Jeanty or one of these top guys going to the Cowboys at number 12, but I just don't think it's worth that. However, they don't have a 4th-round pick because of the trade for Mingo. So that's usually where you would look, maybe a running back right there. So maybe they're going to have to pick 3rd or 5th round for a running back. There's just a lot of things there. I just don't know if using your number 1 pick is the straw that stirs the drink there. Last thing I want to get to before we get out of here. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk was on a Dallas morning show this week and said basically that the Cowboys have called Tennessee about inquiring about moving up to the number 1 pick in the draft. It's interesting for a couple of reasons, because typically when you see a team trade for number 1, it's because they want a quarterback. This year, there is not a quarterback worth trading up to number 1 for. Shedeur Sanders, everyone's going to link them and the Cowboys because of Deion. Cam Ward, Incarnate Word, great. To Washington State, to Miami, now probably the best quarterback in this draft, 1A and 1B with him and Shedeur Sanders. The only way I can think of that making sense is if they trade Micah Parsons for the number 1 pick to select Abdul Carter, who would then be the heir apparent to Micah Parsons, just so they don't have to pay Micah Parsons.
I like the way you think, man.
Well, that's the only thing that makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating to me. Like, to me, if you're the Cowboys where you're at, and if there are that many running backs and defensive linemen in this draft, don't you trade down at 12?
Yeah, that would make more sense to me.
To get another first-round pick or to get another second-round pick or do something. That's what I would do. I mean, they need bodies, and they need bodies that are working under rookie contracts.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I trading up to 1 makes sense only in that scenario for me, because Abdul Carter, to me, is the number 1 guy in this draft. Yes, Travis Hunter can play 2 positions, and he's all the rage right now because of his hype and because of how good he is. He's phenomenal, and I don't want to denigrate Travis Hunter. He just won the Heisman Trophy because he's an absolute wonder human being and football player. However, I would say that Abdul Carter would be who I would take.
Me too.
If I had the number 1 pick in the draft. And that's the only way that makes sense to me, that the Cowboys don't give up future 1s, because if you're trading from 12 to 1, you're giving up this year's 1 and next year's 1 and the year after that's 1. If you don't want to give all that up, you give up Micah Parsons in a 2 this year. You get the number 1 pick in the draft. You draft Abdul Carter. You save yourself $30 million against the cap.
I like your idea.
Hey, man.
Although the cap just went up to a bunch of millions, so I think it's all going to go to Micah Parsons. Yeah, that's the hope, anyway.
Yet the Cowboys will probably say they still have no money. Yeah, right. $279.2 million in the cap this year, and they're like, no, we're poor, man. Hey, anything?
I'm just sad about Nick Chubb.
What happened to Nick Chubb?
There's rumors about him being on the move, right?
Yeah, he's gonna test see if anybody will pay him in free agency.
I don't understand how Browns fans are still fans of the team. I really don't.
It is really tough right now. They don't call it the sadness factory for anything.
Yeah.
Well, I was just listening to something this morning that the Browns are thinking about drafting a quarterback at number 2, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, whoever it is. And it's because you have $150 in dead money, or $150 million in dead money, basically, for Deshaun Watson over the next 3 years.
Salary cap isn't a problem for him right now. They've worked that out pretty well. It's just bringing in the right guys is the thing now. It's really, they're not really having a salary.
Well, I mean, it's not good when you basically have $50 million of dead money each year over the next 3 years because of a quarterback who doesn't know how to throw the ball down the field.
They've done a whole lot of good work to try on the money side to make up for that mistake, but we are where we are.
Sadness factory.
Is Myles Garrett going to be on the team next year?
Doesn't look like it, but hopefully we can get a hell of a lot for him.
Yep.
Trade him to the Broncos.
I would think you would be able to.
Trade him to the Ravens for Justin Tucker. That's get another one of those on your team. Anyway, allegedly. Sorry. Anyway, that's all we got for you today on the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. Remember to download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. Today was a fun day. Chuck, thank you. Luis, Bob,
you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone for tuning in, especially that young lady in France. Thank you so much. Val, thank you so much. We'll see you back here on Monday.